do things. And after the George Floyd death, when it was the riots and they lit the cop cars on fire, there was this real feeling, this real fuck the police, we're going to do whatever the fuck we want and no one's going to stop it. And the police seemed hesitant to do things too. And that was when I was like, check please. I was like, this is not the place. No one here is, you got to recognize when things are changing and when they're not going to get better because there's no resources in place. There's no leadership in place. If you're defunding the police, that is a totally wrong approach to deal with an excess of crime. Like what you need is better funding and you need better training and better people as police officers and better respect for police officers. You need to have an understanding that they're very, very necessary. And one of the things that people found is that as soon as crime starts fucking scaling up, in every city people are calling for the cops. Even politicians in San Francisco that were actively like saying we should defund the police. They were tweeting we should defund the police. Then the crime starts kicking up. They're like, we can't even get the cops to come out. Like, why do you think that is? That's crazy. Maybe it's because you defunded them. I mean, you're out of your fucking mind. Like, do you think that somehow or another having less police equals less crime? Like, that's the dumbest scenario. Like, what do you think everybody's going to get kumbaya on you? No, you're just going to embolden criminals and you're going to terrify people. And then things are going to scale worse and worse. And if you keep doing the same thing to try to fix it, it's never going to get better. And that's what you're seeing in Portland. And that's what you're seeing in San Francisco. It just keeps getting worse and it's chaotic.
You ever go to a fucking club, like a club, and they're playing like disco music? And all of a sudden some fat fuck like me yells, put on Skinner. And nobody listens. Like people like, that idiot. When I heard the term, debunk the police, that's what it felt like.
Defund the police, yeah.
Defund the police, put on Skinner.
Yeah.
Until people started saying, that's a great idea. And you're like, what the fuck? And that's what was going on. Too many people were yelling, put on Skinner with different ideas at that point.
Yeah.
And you're like, what do you mean? Dog, listen, let's get something straight. You're going to hear this from me one fucking time. I was born a nice kid. Somewhere along the line, I lost my fucking way. Somewhere along the line, when you suffer a traumatic experience when you're a young man, you stay stuck for a few years. Or a young woman, you stay stuck. That's why women become, they become, what is that word?
Prostitutes?
No. When you like to fuck, the proximity, whatever that fucking word
Nymphomaniacs?
is. No, that's not the
Promiscuous.
word. Promiscuous.
Oh.
You know, when you suffer a dad or a mom or a grandmother you were tight with, you get stalled for a couple of years. I'm not making excuses. These are all proven things. You got to read this shit. You just don't grow until the reality comes to you of what happened. You're still in shock when your mom dies or your father dies. And somewhere along the line, I went off the rails. And I'm sorry for that. I never disrespected a cop, Joe. In all the stories I tell you, you never hear any disrespect of a police officer. Never.
Well, you knew cops.
Fuck that.
But that's part of it, too.
You know who raised me when I was a young kid? PAL. PAL. Police Athletic League on 88th Street in Amsterdam. I grew up in there. That's where I learned how to shoot pool.
Really?
That's where I learned how to shoot guns. They took you to the 25th precinct, and you shot at targets. They took you to the park. I was a big PAL guy. Then I moved to Jersey. Fucking baddest PAL boxing coach, Cuban coach, Mr. Gamio. I never trained with him. He didn't like me. But I knew his sons and his kids, you know. But PAL, Mr. Marino, that dude used to drive us everywhere. Again, he didn't like me too much.
Why did he like you?
Because I was like, something. I don't know. And once I got to Jersey, I hung out with a rough crew or something. At that age, they didn't like me in bitty basketball, so I didn't play in Union City. But I always had respect for the PAL. And all those years, I always knew they had a job to do. And I was trying to be a criminal. I can't take it out on them.
Right.
You never heard me say bad shit about cops. In fact, in 60 years, the only cop I've had a problem with is one of the guys that arrested me in Boulder. In fact, the other dude, I just wished him a happy birthday. James Kohler. It was his birthday on Wednesday or Tuesday on Facebook. I follow with friends on Facebook.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That was the only cop. So for a guy like me to only have a problem with one real cop in all those years, gotta tell you something. So when I heard that, debunk the fucking cops. Defund. Go fuck yourself.
It's so ridiculous.
You're the same motherfuckers that are going to be crying for the same cops to come to your house in 5 years.
100%.
And then they were talking about having people come over to your house and just talking to you. Like during, 2 safety officers. And now this shit that they're doing with bails.
It's
and
crazy.